Alright, what's going on, everybody? So, today I'm going to be giving you guys a review for Titans Episode 4. In this week's episode, we got the introduction to the Doom Patrol. We got to see some backstory for Garfield or Beast Boy. And we've got a bit more Dick Grayson and Starfire interacting with each other as they try to track down Rachel. So this week's episode, I gotta say, it was pretty good. I can't really say too much negative about this episode, aside from some bad lighting during one of the scenes that was at night, and also just at the beginning of the episode where Garfield, Beast Boy, finds Rachel in the forest or the woods or whatever, and I was just wondering, I was like, how did you find her? I mean, maybe he saw the explosion, but it still wouldn't make sense because prior to that they met up at the arcade and stuff, but it's like the only way you would have found her is if you've been stalking her the whole time, if you've been following if if he had been following her like this entire time or whatever. Like it's kind of, it's not really too big of a deal to really kind of knock off a lot of points or whatever for this episode review, but it's just like I was trying to figure out the whole time. It's like, how did you find her? But other than that, and of course that bad CGI tiger, that the transformation and everything at the beginning of the episode where Garfield and Rachel are in the woods and they find these two guys that are hunting a deer and they shoot the deer and they ended up basically scaring the guys off, and something strange happened after they left the deer and after Garfield took Rachel to his place basically. um the deer came back to life, or at least that's what I think is what happened at the end. I guess that's what they were alluding to at the end of that scene. And so I'm wondering what was going on there. And like I said, outside of those two small little things about the episode, I can't really say nothing bad about it. It was actually a really good episode. These last two episodes has really been a step up from the first two episodes. And this is a very good introduction to the Doom Patrol. Like, for those of you guys who don't know, the Doom Patrol is going to have their own TV show. I believe that's coming out next year or maybe in December. I don't know. But honestly, this makes me want to actually watch it. I mean, I don't know if I would subscribe for it, but I think it's a pretty good. It was a pretty good introduction to these characters. And honestly, I think these actors that were portraying the Doom Patrol, I think they're way better than a lot of the aside from the actress that plays Starfire. I think she's way better than most of the actors, the majority of the actors that we've seen so far in the show. I mean, they really bring a lot to the characters. The characters themselves, they have such distinct personalities, and the dialogue was really good. The acting was really good, like I was saying. I believe, is it Brandon Fraser? Yeah. Brandon Fraser is in this as Robot Man. Cleef Still, I guess that's how you say his name. No, it's Cliff Still. Apologies. Brandon Fraser is playing Cliff Still, Robot Man, and his voice work for that character. I mean, Brandon Fraser. I think a lot of people know this actor. If you don't know him, you might recognize him from the Mummy movies, but obviously they didn't really show his face or whatever in there. But I can recognize his voice, and he's really good. I mean, really, all of them was really good, and I like how they organically put the Doom Patrol in this, because it could have easily gone left, or it easily could have felt tacked on. But this honestly feels like a connected universe. Honestly, it's probably well, I can already say it's honestly better than what they're doing with the DC universe. With the mainline DC universe movies is actually kind of better than what they're doing here, where it feels organic, and especially even the CW shows. I think it's actually better what they did in this episode. I think what they're doing, connecting these characters for the most part, outside of that one thing that I mentioned earlier about Garfield finding Rachel in the woods. they're connecting these characters in a way that it works and it feels organic. It doesn't feel forced, and for the most part, it makes sense. Like outside of what I was saying earlier. But there was a great scene in this episode at the dinner table, and complain. A, I know I complain a lot about the lighting in a lot of these reviews that I've done so far, but the lighting in this scene, it was perfect. The scene itself was just completely. It was a good scene. It was a really really good scene where they're all eating at the dinner table, and Rita comes down and she starts to make her plate, and Raven is just looking at her. It's just this really awkward scene, and it's really effective, and it really works. It really, really works. And just all the characters of the Doom Patrol, man. I know I said this before, but their personality, it's the man. Their personality really showed, and I think that this will be a very because it kind of reminded me of Guardians of the Galaxy. Like this episode had almost a different tone to it. It was a bit more lighthearted, to be honest, compared to the whole dark, grim tone. I mean, we got a bit of that toward the end of the episode where the scientist chief, who ended up saving all of the other members of the Doom Patrol or whatever, basically Chief tries to, I guess, experiment on Raven or whatever, and Garfield tries to stop him, but the Chief ends up shooting him with, I guess, a tranquilizer dart or whatever. We also see at the beginning of the episode where Chief saves Garfield years ago, and Chief saved the rest of the Doom Patrol and stuff. We got a bit of backstory and everything for these characters, but yeah, overall there was one big scene. There was a scene where Negative Man, the guy that was like wrapped around, like the guy that had bandages, he was wrapped in bandages. That was Negative Man. I believe that's who that is. And that scene where he's making dinner and the music in the background, I love that song that was playing in the background. I can't even think of the name of it, but that was a good scene. Like that scene right there, it was that scene, and then the way that robot played by Robot Man played by Brendan Fraser, it was all of these elements that really made it feel like it had its own distinct personality. These group of characters, and it just like I said before, it kind of had a Guardians feel to it. And it's funny how it seems like this show, just from this one episode, is doing a lot of what the DC universe was trying to do in the mainline movies, like with the Suicide Squad. They were trying to be like the Guardians of the Galaxy, and this honestly, this group of heroes, if the Doom Patrol is anything like this episode, I mean, it's gonna be really. I think it'll be really, really good. And to be honest, I think it might even be better than. I think it might be better than Titans. I think it might be better than a lot of stuff that we're seeing come out on Netflix even. Because there was this one scene. So like the character Rita, um, there's this one scene where her face just ends up getting just messed up or whatever. But like I don't know if it was a CGI effect, if it was a computer effect, or if it was a practical effect. But like the makeup, like this is way better. Like the show showing off her condition was way better than all this crap that they're doing with Raven, with like her CGI, the CGI effect that they're using for Raven to kind of show off her mental disability. Well, not disability, but mental instability with her powers. Like that was really really good. I mean, honestly, I could really talk a lot about this episode because I think this episode was really really good. Like I said, there really isn't much I could really say bad about this episode. It honestly has me a bit more hyped for Doom Patrol, and it moved. It actually moved the storyline forward at the end of the episode. Garfield actually goes with the Titans, so now basically the group is together. I don't know if we're gonna get more characters in this group of Titans. I think we might, but so far the entire group is together. Minus Cyborg, who's actually gonna be in Cyborg's actually gonna be in the Doom Patrol, which is weird. It's like, why isn't Cyborg in Titans? But whatever. But yeah, this was a good episode. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. I'm gonna give it. If I had to give it a score, I'm gonna give it a 9.5 out of 10. This is the highest. This is the best episode that I think we've gotten so far, and I really hope that the show continues to improve. And yeah, like the video, subscribe if you enjoyed listening, and I'll see you guys next week for the next review.